as a flashlight enthusiast, often the trajectory looks like starting out with a boutique brand like Sofrin here, which offers phenomenal performance compared to what you'd find at like a typical box store. And then after a while, you start realizing the differences between color and tint, and then maybe you go buy your first Hank Wang MSR D4V2 and you hand pick the exact emitters you want with the exact tint you want. And then after a while you say, man, that is amazing, but I want something with maybe a little better machining because this is definitely mass produced in China. And so what I've been carrying lately is this Okluma DC1, and I find this to be just a stellar EDC light. And the machining is just impeccable. So this light may not put out any more lumens or even any better quality of light than a lot of other lights that are 1/5 the price. But what I love about this is it's just machined exactly the way I want. So it begs the question, where do I go from here? And the fact of the matter is, I think when you're talking about titanium machining, the best man in the business is David and his Cool Fall Spy 007. Welcome back to Shul Lights. Today we're going to be talking about the Cool Fall Spy 007 Ultra. This light is just pinnacle machining. This is the best I have ever seen in a titanium light. I've had a Cool Fall Spy for about 1.5 years, and I released a video when I first got it. I did kind of just a casual first impressions. But now that I've lived with it for 1.5 years, and now that I have this Ultra, and this one was custom made to order for me, I understand the design of it, I understand the concept of it, and why you'd own something like this a lot better than I used to. Now, I'm going to state right at the outset that this is a piece of art. This is artwork. This is for somebody who wants a very, very expensive flashlight, like you'd want a very expensive watch or a very expensive car. You could make the argument that a Rolls-Royce won't get you to the corner store any better than maybe Honda Accord would. But the fact of the matter is, vast price difference and vast craftsmanship difference. And that's what we're talking about here. Now, the reason why I'm wearing a glove is because we are not going to go over the UI in great detail. We're going to be talking about what makes the machining and the quality of this light so special. And I just wanted to keep my fingerprints off it so you could kind of see some of the details here. So you might see me wipe it occasionally like this just because I was handling it with my hand before the video. The machining is impeccable. I don't know how to explain it, so I'm going to try my best and hopefully we'll understand. Let's get some good close-up shots here. Let me go ahead and do that. And let me just mention that this machine finish you see all on the shiny parts, this, from what I understand, comes right off the mill this way. So this is a machine finish that is just, as you can tell, there's just no flaws. It's perfect. And it kind of has a grain horizontally. So one of the things that I've read about these is you're supposed to rub horizontally to kind of maintain that machine finish. Even though this is solid titanium, and it's the best grade of titanium you can get, it's still a metal, and it still can be scratched even with a soft cloth. Now, to give you an idea of what I'm talking about with this finish and how it looks and you know, rubbing a single way, let me show you the bottom of the cap here. Here we go. Look at that. That I love. And I got something on the end here, something right there that I'll take off. Picked it up from the table apparently. Oh, it's not coming off. Let me breathe on it. All right, so I wiped that off. Now let me get in really close here and show you what's going on. So it looks like there is ridges here, but really it's just, if I turn it sideways here, you can see it's perfectly flat. Let me get the green mat in the background. You can see it's perfectly flat. And what's going on is it's just the stroke of the tool on the machine when this was made to give it that kind of 3D appearance where when you move it back and forth, it kind of looks almost holographic. One of my readers once told me what the name of this was, and if you guys want to chime in below in the comment section and remind me what this type of machining is called, I would love it. I'm spacing on it right now, but that is what we're talking about. This is why you buy a light like this, for this look. I also want to point out on the side here that we got something else going on that's just mind-boggling for me, and that is this is stonewashed, but the rest of the light is machined. Now think about stonewashing. You're going to throw this light into a stonewash machine. It's going to bounce around and it's going to beat it all up to give it that kind of grayish mottled appearance. How are you going to do that on this light? It led people to believe that this was an inlay, that this was a separate piece. But I'm telling you folks, it's not. This is one solid block of titanium. The entire body is one piece that was machined this way. And I'll throw it under a microscope right now to kind of prove that. Let's go take a look. All right, here we are at my workbench, and you can see that I have a digital microscope right here, and I've got the Coolful sitting on a tin of flux just to kind of get it the right height for my microscope. Now, that digital microscope feeds up to here. This is my overhead monitor, and let me go ahead and lock this into place. Now, we are looking at a close-up of the Springfield Sides, and I just want to point out on the screen here that there's these little lines here. They're microscopic. They're really tiny, and I assume that's where the tool has to travel along the surface to get to the next part. It's probably intentional. I think David probably has this happen as part of the look. And you can see over here, let me get really good focus on this. Gosh, there's some really small microscopic details. You can see right here, there's a valley, and right here, this dark portion is actually, not only twist the light a little bit on camera, that dark portion is actually the machine finish. Get better focus. So you can see a machine finish to that little valley. Okay. And there's a little line right along, so not the valley, there's a little tiny line, I don't know if you even see it on screen, and it's just probably like where the tool moves along. But anyways, I guess the point of this is just to show you this, I don't think this is an inlay at all. You can see the V. You can see the V of the body. I just don't think this is an inlay. How would this be an inlay, right? I actually tried to find out from David, but he's a busy guy and he didn't get back to me. But this machining is intense. Here, let's get a shot of the bottom of it. Okay, let's get a shot of the bottom of it. Look at that. Yeah, let me get it steady. Yeah, let me get it as steady as I can. That's a thing. That is a crazy thing, and that's what makes that kind of half-tone dot matrix look, is all those little tool marks. So you can see the type of machining we're talking about. It's incredible. And I want to point out that if you just thought, well, no, those little lines, those show that it's inlaid. I mean, it's microscopic. Look how look at my fingernail, guys. Look how big my fingernail is. You can tell that you can't even see the lines in this image. That's how tiny these lines are. So we're talking impeccable detail. Tailcap here is a no-tool tailcap. On the base model, you have to, let me get a better focus. You have to press in on the side with a tool or a toothpick, and then it releases the tail cap. But on the Ultra, you can grab it and you kind of just twist like this, and that releases the, let me try it again. You twist like this, and then you pull out, and that releases the mechanism. If I looked unsteady or unsure of what I was doing, that's because it's only about the 4th time I've ever done that on this Ultra. Now, when you line it up here, so let me just line it up, then what you do is you just push in firmly, and it just clicks in like that. Now let me show you that there's haptic feedback and a sapphire crystal lens on the top of this, that if you look at it, let me get good focus, it's completely flush. Do you see how it just goes right over and there's nothing to catch on? So it's curved, it bows out just a little. Get really good focus. There we go. You can see it bows out just a little right there. And it feels amazing. It's just like, I don't know how to explain it, but it feels like a fine watch, like a high-end, I don't know, Rolex or something like that. All right, so there is the Sapphire Lens. Let me try and get it really good focus. Sapphire Lens, you can see how flush it is with the machining on the light itself. I see some goobers right here. Let me try and wipe them off. A little goob right there. Under a microscope, you can see every bump, boil, and abscess on anything you're working with. But look at that, man. I mean, if this is doing it for you, if you're looking at this and going, that is insane, then yeah, this light is 100% worth it. If you're looking at it and going, meh, well then this is not the light for you. You got places to spend your money in better ways. But for me, this is just peak flashlight manufacturing. Incredible. There's haptics, so when you turn the light on, you can actually feel it vibrate. And you can have it set up to where it vibrates once every minute to remind you it's on. So if it's in your pocket and it's on, it won't be, burning a hole in your pocket or wasting battery. As well as you can turn the haptics off. There's a whole bunch of modes on that. And how you do that is the engine in it is very intelligent. And you set it up with basically pin codes where there's 6 positions on the switch up here. You turn them in a very specific order and timing to unlock all these features. So the manual is pretty dense, very flashlight enthusiast grade, and it's on Candle Power forums. It's electronically published on that forum. The reflector is the Macgizmo MC18. It's impeccable. It's the best. And you can get it with pretty much any emitter you want. I've got a 519A in here at 3500 Kelvin. Now let's talk about the knob. Now the knob is what David calls tactical fast, meaning that when you hold this in your hand and you rest your finger on it like this, you just rotate and you're all the way up, and then rotate and you're all the way down. So the idea is one movement gets you to 100% and one movement gets you 100% off, or any mode in between. So it's a rotary control and it's really fast to use. Now, all the models have that, but this model has the Vegas knob. And let me talk about the Vegas knob for a moment, because that's really why I'm making this video. David has this really great video where he shows the engineering and design that went into this knob. If you want to watch that and be fascinated as much as I was, then click in the link right here. It'll go to his video, not mine, but you can watch it, and I think it is definitely worth the view. Now, I'm going to just quickly talk about how it works, not how it's made. So what you got here is you got that we're in position 0, because the position that's by the emitter, so where the emitter is, that's the spot you're in, and we are off. So when I turn it 1 to this first pip here, you can see we're on the lowest. Now this is called the Vegas knob. An interesting thing, when I took delivery of this light, and this is just a little ode to how wonderful my wife is, she's not into flashlights. But I talk about them all the time, as you might imagine, and she's so wonderful that she listens to me. She often isn't into it, and she often kind of stores the information away in her head and kind of improperly. And I thought it was funny that she made a connection that when I took delivery of this light, she said, "Oh, is it the Casino Royale edition?" And I went, "What?" And then I realized that she remembered about a year ago me talking about the Vegas knob, and she thought, Vegas, dice, 007 spy, right? Bond. So I thought that was really cute that it's the Casino Royale. By the way, David, if you end up watching this video, I think that, you know how you have the bow tie and the black tie edition and you call it the Ultra? I think it should be called the Casino Royale edition. I think that is excellent. So anyways, this has, off 1 pip all the way up to 6 pips right there. So that's the highest. And what's so amazing about this knob is this watch style interface right here in the middle. It's got like a crown, if you will. And this crown can be pulled in and out and rotated. And what it does is simply incredible to me. So right now, it's in the bottom locked position. So right now, it's locked into a position, and I can't turn it or do anything with it. And the way it's locked, and it came this way to me, it's locked into the 6th position, which means I can rotate through all the positions and off, and it is not actually locked, except locked to where you can use everything. All right, if that's confusing, watch. You can pull this knob up like that, and now you see how it looks flush. That's a middle position. And then you can pull it up one further position, and it sits above the knob. Now, the reason it's able to pull up and down, and you should really watch that video that I linked up above earlier, is there's little ball bearings and races. And when you're pulling it, it's pulling into 1, 2, 3 races, and he's got names for the races that I just don't remember at the moment. Like one's called like lock and one's called spin, things like that. So I think I'm in spin right now. Now, what that means is when you're in the top position, this knob can now spin freely. I don't know if I can get that here. Let's get it better on camera. See how it spins freely, okay? Now, when you push it down one position into that middle position like that, the knob will no longer spin because there's a little post in there that's now sticking and locked and it can't spin. Now, the rotary dial still works, but this won't spin on you. Now, if you push it all the way down, now it's actually sticking into like kind of a piece in the light where it's preventing it from rotating all the way. Okay, now let's see this in action. It'll make more sense. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's talk about how we'd use this. Let's say I wanted this to be locked to off. I don't want the light to turn on without me unlocking it. So what I'd do is I'd pull it all the way up so it's in spin. Then I would rotate this, and this is where we gotta get a good shot on this so you can see this. The knob, if you look, where is it? Right there. There's a little tiny pip right there on the side of the knob, and it's on 6 right now. So if I rotate this past all those pips to off, and then I push it down all the way, it's now locked into off. I am off, and I can't turn it. It's physically locked because there's a titanium peg that's inserted into the body, and it won't move. Now, if I lift this up, let me lift up all the way, and let's say I put this on 1, and I push it down. Now it's locked that I can't go past 1. So I'm in off, and I can rotate to 1, and that's all I can do. Can't go to 2. All right. Now, if I lift this up, and I'll just do, one more, let's go to 3 here, okay? So we'll push it over, line up with 3, and push it down all the way. And now you'll see that I can go off 1, 2, 3, and I can't go to 4, okay? A couple things about this, okay, that blew me away. So what's that middle position for? The middle position is so that if you lift it up, there we go, this will not spin on you. The crown is locked. I can still use the full range of the light because I've unlocked it. And when, let's say in my pocket, I want to only go to 3 again, I can just push down, and now I'm locked up to 3. See? I can't go past 3. So that's what's going on there. So basically, if you're in the middle position here, it's wherever you have it set, this is still set and it won't turn. You have to pull it all the way up if you want to be able to turn this around. Okay? Now, last thing I want to point out, and David didn't say this that I know of, but knowing his engineering and how meticulous he is, this has got to be correct. What if you were to lock this past where you've already turned the knob? All right, let me explain. Let's say I turn the knob to 6, so I'm at full on right now. Now let's say I turn this. Where is my pip? Where is my pip? There it is. Okay, so I turn this pip right here. What am I at? I'm at 2. Okay, let's go 3. Right in the middle. I'm at 3, and I lock it. So think about this. It seems like if I'm at 6, when I move to 5 and 4 I should be locked, right? I shouldn't be able to turn it off now. Well, that's kind of a UI problem, right? Not being able to turn your light off because you don't realize this thing is locked past where you're at. Well, when you're locked the proper way, you cannot get past it. I tried. You push really hard, it doesn't happen. But he's got a machine just right that if you push, it does feel a little resistance, but if you push hard enough, watch, it pops up. And now I can turn it off. So there's a fail-safe here. It's engineered so that if you've set it up incorrectly, you can actually move past it, and it corrects itself by popping up into the unlocked position. I just, now listen, does any of this really matter? I mean, should you buy the Vegas knob? The answer is clear. Yes and no. No, if you do not find this of interest. Absolutely yes, if you think that this is wowing you. Like if me talking about this in the intricacies of the titanium machining and engineering that went in to making this tiny little knob work, yeah, no, it's astounding. It's one of the most incredible lights I have in my collection. And, I want to point something else out too. Let's talk about the size for a second, okay? Let me put this down. You look on a video like this where I've got it up really close to basically a macro lens and I got really good focus. And this knob looks enormous. The knob is so delicate looking. It's not, it's robust, but it's so delicate and refined. Let me give you some examples here. Here it is next to a DC-1. So a lot of you know the size of DC-1. This is a small light. Take a look at it next to a Freelux Synergy 2. You can see how tiny this light is compared to these two. I'll just put the Hank light here as well. And here is a Convoy M21A, just so you can get an idea of how tiny this light really is. Even with this comparison, to get an idea of how small the knob is, I think the best way to think about it is this. If you know how big the button is on one of these lights like this, right? Okay, you know how big this button is. It's not a huge, large affair. Take a look at that Vegas knob. Look at that little tiny crown on top and those little pips. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have the worst eyesight, but I am getting older. That little pip that's on the watch crown here is very hard for me to see without magnification or bright light. So it immediately becomes clear why you'd want that center race, why you'd want to set this, kind of know where it's set, and then lock it from twisting. So that's awesome. Now I just want to close out the video by telling you kind of two more unique things about this light that kind of wowed me as I discovered more about it. And one of them is that I messed up by putting batteries in the wrong way. I messed up by trying to emitter swap my old light while the engine was in there and while the batteries were in there. Don't even ask how I got in that conundrum. But I really put this engine through the ringer, and I thought I'd killed the light. It wasn't turning on. Dave assured me that the engine is very hard to kill, and he was right. The engine was completely alive. So it's just a really robust, well-made light. It looks delicate, but it's not. It's made for heavy use. And then the other thing I want to point out is the machining is so great. And since I did emitter swap the last light, I want to show you, where do we get into this light, right? Like, where does this come apart? This is all one piece, right? It's all one piece right here. So I thought initially that you went through the tail cap, but you don't. Turns out, to get to the MCPCB is as easy as unscrewing the bezel. And the bezel unscrews right here. Here, let me get a good focus on it. I bet you can't even see it. I can't. It's actually in between these valleys here. So let me grab this and get it. There we go. Now watch this. This is unturning. All right. There it is. See it? I actually thought it was up here on this top one. That's how little I can tell where it is. And when you get it off, there's obviously O-rings. I mean, this light is completely designed for real use, right? I don't want to take it all the way off because I just don't want to get any dust in there, but that's how I got the other one apart. So when this screws back together, watch this just disappear. See, now that we know where it is, still can't tell. Love that. So there you go, guys. For me, if you ask the question, what is the best machined titanium light in the world? Probably the Coolfall Spy. I would say this has to be the one. Don't get me wrong. Okluma, Hanko, Reaver Arms, all amazing. It's really hard to kind of out one manufacturer and just say they're the one. But, I mean, at this moment in time, and maybe it's just the excitement of getting this new model in my hands, but this is just sublime. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll have a regular production flashlight review in the next couple of days. See ya.